Through the mist we rise, a force unbroken, with banners high and hearts awoken. The sound of pipes, our war is calling. Like thunderous waves, our duty is falling. Stand tall, together we fight, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity our hearts shall sing, the legacy of warriors through every reign. With battle cries we forge our fate, in fields of valor we elevate. As shadows loom, our spirits flee. Brothers in arms, we are the dream. Fearless, we take the night, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity, our hearts shall sing, the legacy of warriors through every reign. As dawn breaks, we know our name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Goatman Christmas Hour on Nighthawk High Strangeness. I'm William Nighthawk, your host, and we're going to get into the disclaimers and then get into the thick of it. Please bear with me. I am solo tonight, and please be respectful in the chat and put all questions in capital letters. And if I can get to the chat and answer the questions, I will. If not, I will review the comments in the YouTube app, and I'll reply to you via YouTube, okay? So please hit that like button too, guys. As always, we claim fair use of any and all content, including the music, which is my own anyways, so we should be able to claim it. Under the divides of the Fair Use Act, which is otherwise known in Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which makes allowances for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, and parody, and let's not forget the entertainment value. For fair use and is used, permitted, and copyright statutes are allowed. Otherwise, be infringing on nonprofit, educational, and useful tips to balance out in the favor of fair use. All right. And we're going to get into a little bit of everything tonight, so it covers literally everything under fair use. So that being said, I'm going to take that down and put something else more appropriate up. Let me see here. Okay. I'm going to... Well, let's see. Should I put that up? Nah, I'm going to put this up. Okay. And the reason I'm going to be strictly, focusing on this is I want you all to be able to have your thinking caps on tonight, because some of this stuff, when it gets related to each other, if you connect it and look at it a certain way, you're going to find out that it all relates to what I call the trickster spirit, and what you call, if you're not Native American, the demonic. Okay? Such as this character here. Okay? We are talking about the Goatman. Okay? And the reports in American history. The Goatman legend has been documented across various states in America, with sightings reported and ranging from Maryland, Kentucky, PA, Virginia, California, and Texas, and other states too. The legend's origins are often attributed to the genetic experiments gone wrong, to vengeful goat farmers, and ancient Greek mythology. The Goatman is depicted as a creature resembling a goat and human hybrid, reported standing on two legs and approximately 6 to 7 feet tall, with a very aggressive nature. And I'll say, because I'll be going over one of the stories that you won't believe coming out of Maryland. He is often associated with tragic deaths on railroad trestles and bridges, which is kind of ironic if you think about it, because another spirit or supernatural being that I like to discuss is Mothman. So there's that bridge correlation there, if you know what I mean. Okay, that connection there. All right. So that being said, and even reported in state parks during extreme fog events. And that's the other thing that's reported is mysterious weather phenomena with these entities. Okay. Which often trickster spirits or demonic spirits, whatever you want to call them, are going to hide themselves in the environment, which makes perfectly logical sense why they would use fog. Okay. So, anyways, some reports describe a creature that can randomly appear and sometimes dragging a blood-soaked axe behind them in one hand. Missing people and pets have been reported in areas and missing due to the Goatman approximately activity in the area. Reports include mist or fogginess, a smell of copper or rotten eggs, and missing people or pets, or people and pets found mutilated, certain vandalisms to vehicles and property. The Goatman, for some reason, has a definitive hatred towards automobiles. I will say that because one of the reports that I got here locally a couple years back was that it appeared out of the fog, out of a mist, running alongside of a vehicle a little bit after midnight when a guy was coming home from work, and he tried to actually ram the car on the side and open up the passenger side door to try to get in the vehicle. And then when the car sped up and he looked back, eventually the Goatman trailed him a little bit and then just disappeared. Okay. Sounds like a demonic presence to me, but I could be wrong. Okay. Let's just put that out there. Okay. All right. As I continue, these reports instill deep fears in locals and make it a subject of horror folklore and urban legends. But it is it more? I believe so. This researcher believes that this creature may be a result of a curse placed upon an object, a person, a section of railroad track, land, or even bloodline. And I want to hear everybody tell me, have you ever seen a Goatman? So I'd like to know that. Now, when you think of this report, you got to think of what is correlating actions are happening in the area. Okay. This is the Popelick monster here. This is the railroad trestle that he has supposedly thrown people from their unalived presence in this world, to say the least. Okay. And dragging an axe behind him, thumping on the railroad trestle beams as he drags it. And, you know, reports of teenagers not only being thrown off the bridge, or even adults, but being chased off the bridge and not being caught. Reports of lights in the sky, orbs. There you go, orb connection. Okay. Now, here is the thing. locally in Maryland, in Beltsville, Maryland, at one of the Beltsville Agricultural Research Center, there was reports of experimenting with a goat DNA, leading to a horrific transformation into a creature half man and half goat. Okay, that's the report. Okay. How factual that is, well, when you correlate it to the actual sightings that were reported and the attacks and the deaths, mysterious deaths and disappearances of people and pets and livestock in the Beltsville area, we all have, like in our town or our locality where we live, a certain spot that youngsters go to, say, park and partake of young people's enjoyments, whether it's drinking or whatnot, or smoking, or, other activities. Often Goatman is attributed to attacking young people in those locales. Okay. Kind of makes you wonder about the curse part of the legend, okay, in my belief of the legend. Being Native American and having a past that was questionable with the dark arts, and doing curses and hexes myself and other not so nice things to land and people and objects, I know for a fact that curses can be a legitimate reason. Okay. So when these reports were going on, I believe it was in the 1950s in the, where was it? Trying to think of the town name in Maryland. Oh, let me see here. Let's see if I have it in my notes. No, just Beltsville. Well, in the Beltsville, Maryland area in the 1950s, it was reported that a husband and wife were driving late at night, a little after midnight, and it was foggy. It was, not wintertime out. It was, early fall, late summer. So it was kind of a muggy, warm night. And their car broke down on a rural road. And all of a sudden, a fog event came up. And the husband went outside of the vehicle, popped the hood, and started to figure out why the car wasn't working. Well, apparently, the husband didn't return for about 10, 15 minutes, and the wife started getting really, really concerned. So she got out of the vehicle herself and basically wandered around a couple yards around the vehicle looking for her husband. And pretty much it's reported that she kicked or tripped over his body. His body was found roughly 30 feet away from the car with his head ripped off. Now, taking that into consideration, guys, take into consideration a lot of the reports of deer being found in the area with their heads ripped off. Okay. Take that into consideration, put that in the back burner in the back of your mind, and keep that as a correlating incident, or say a reason to connect the dots to other cryptids. Okay. And we'll get into that at a later date. But with this Goatman, another version speaks of a hermit who went mad and violent after the goats were killed. Okay. And basically he got so aggressive and angry and hateful towards humans that he manifested this goat demon type of a creature. Okay. Other reports are descriptions are a tall, hairy, bipedal creature with goat-like features, horns, hooves, and sometimes seen with an axe. Okay, and sometimes not seen with an axe. Activities attacking cars, smashing windshields, making goat-like screams, and attacking pets. Okay, Fletchertown Road in Bowie, Maryland, on Governor's Bridge, and the woods around Beltsville are common sighting areas with a nearby Crybaby Bridge, often sighted in tales. Okay. I've been to the Crybaby Bridge, by the way. I know exactly where that's located. I've never ran into the Goatman out there, and I hope I never do. But if I do, trust me, I'm going to have a mixture of supernatural capabilities to fend off something like him. Okay. That being said, I wanted to also point out the fact that since, I have made the connection to Native American trickster spirits to the Goatman, okay, and it's my belief that what my people and other indigenous cultures around the world call a trickster spirit, in other parts of the world, they're called jinn. In the community, you know, the Nephilim spirit. Okay. Whatever you deem as a demonic type of a supernatural being that can shapeshift into this thing and into other things is what we're dealing with on about 90% of these accounts. Okay. So that being said, the legend became a classic campfire story and part of the cultural identity in the Prince George counties in Maryland. Okay. It's a popular folklore subject and is often in local media and documentaries and even mentioned in relationship to the X-Files. We all liked the X-Files. I know I did. So, if it was notable enough for that kind of coverage, then it affected a lot of the local communities. And here's the kicker. When you're dealing with this type of an entity, it's kind of different in each location. Okay. There is reports out of Old Alton Bridge in Lantana, Texas, of the Goatman. Again, another bridge connection. Okay. There's reports of it, like I said, Pope Lick, there's another railroad trestle bridge, and then you put other so-called cryptids that I categorize as supernatural that are also reported in these like geographical areas, such as the Mothman with bridge activity and connections to the water. Okay. The same with the Goatman. Okay. And actually the same with red-eyed Bigfoot. Okay. And Dogman. Okay. The more aggressive encounters have more in common. The less aggressive encounters don't tend to have, it's almost like something is mimicking the cryptid. Okay. And we all know how I feel about the biblical connection to this stuff. And I don't want to say that every encounter is going to be supernatural because it's not, but a good percentage of them are. I'd say at least 80%. A real cryptid is going to want you away from his area, his hunting ground, just like a property owner would. Okay. Encounters in the old days of real cryptids were few and far in between. I mean, we had our legends of children being carried off and women being carried off and all that from Bigfoot and Dogman and Shunkaworkon, which I believe is a Dogman. Believe it or not, I don't believe it's classified as a dire wolf. I believe that the Shunkaworkon was literally able to walk on 2 feet. That's my opinion. Okay. So when you deal with the Goatman, and especially this time of the year, I want you to keep in mind this right here. Okay. I give you Krampus, otherwise known as the Goatman, and Sheep Squatch, ancient spirit of a trickster shape-shifting abilities. Okay. This is it, folks. This is the connection from the supernatural to the Christmas belief in some parts of the world, to the sheep squatch sightings, the goat man sightings, the connection to the railroad trestles and to water, the connection to missing people, unalived people, pets, and livestock, damage to vehicles. This all correlates together. Okay. Now, here's the kicker. When you look at the reports of Krampus, you're looking at something that is described literally as a goat man. Okay. Same with sheep squatch. Sheep squatch is reported the same way as in this photograph. Which, if you look at this closely, this rendition of the goat man, I want you to take a close look at this picture. Can you discern a feline characteristic in that face? Almost like a female lioness. So, could this be a trickster spirit? Very much so. Okay. There have been reports of demonic activities with these cryptids for a long time. There was the one club over in the UK that said that the devil used to frequent, and he used to show up, and he had hooves, cloven hooves, and horns. Okay. There is reports of this type of activity around places that are named after the devil or after something very, very evil out of biblical and other old ancient missing apocrypha and texts, okay, and tablets. So is there a connection? I believe so. I believe that what we are experiencing when we have reports of the goat man coming out of a mist or a fog and seemingly attacking humans and then disappearing as quickly as it came, and people being unalived, I do believe that we're dealing with a trickster spirit about 80% of the time. The reports of him coming out of the woods and dragging an axe, I'm not going to say that's far-fetched, because there are reports of other cryptids having the smarts enough to learn from observing humanity to do certain things. Okay. But when it comes to the goat man, I'm telling you guys, 80% of these connections to the unaliving of people, pets, and livestock, and the bridge connection and the mist and the fog connection is definitely supernatural. Okay. You're dealing with a spirit that has the ability to shape shift and change form. He has the ability. Now, see, back in the old days, we called it supernatural and spiritual and spirits because we had no other way to describe this type of activity. Okay. We had no way of knowing about interdimensional stuff. I mean, sure, we saw portals in the sky. We saw lights in the sky. We talked about sky beings coming down, in old histories of Native people and indigenous cultures in North and South America. But this was different. Okay. This was a direct interaction with the indigenous people. And we labeled it as supernatural, as almost like spirit or ghost like. Okay. So when you look at that description from the indigenous cultures back in the old days, and you compare it to a lot of the paranormal activity, that people are having with trickster spirits, the correlation's there. Okay. So we have to keep that in mind. The correlation is definitely there. I do believe that what we are dealing with is a being that has supernatural activities, abilities, and he is called, or they are called, I should say, because it's a large group of them that have this ability to manifest themselves out of nowhere. Okay. Now, whether they're coming through a portal opening or, ripping the veil and coming through that way, it still remains to be seen. Okay. But the mist and the fog has something to do with it. Just like the mist and the fog and the rain and the storms and stuff have something to do with missing people. Okay. It's all supernaturally connected, in my opinion. Okay. So that being said, have you had an experience or an encounter with the Goatman? I'm going to go to the chat. I want to leave this picture up here because I found this really fascinating. And just the feline look of the facial structure, almost like it's wearing a mask. Okay. That's really an amazing picture. I'm going to go to the chat here and check the comments and see if anybody has any questions. Because the little screen that you guys are seeing on the main screen there is so small I can't even read it. I'm going to say hello to everybody too while I got them on here. I know Urso's in the chat. I know Carl was in the chat. Jojo was in the chat. Muchetti's in the chat. Who else we got? We got Tanya in the chat. We got David Lester in the chat. We got Trey in the chat. Good to see you, Trey. There's that Carl. We got Bounty. We got Talk Home in the chat. We got, who else we got in the chat? Let's see here. Okay, Bigfoot Dwarf in the chat. Yeah, Bigfoot Dwarf, I'd like to know what you think about that, that theory. Christopher, good to have you in the chat, my friend. Good to see you in there. Because, not everything is going to be flesh and bone, okay, and flesh and blood. So when you're dealing with these type of entities, these trickster spirits, you're dealing with something that most people aren't aware of unless they have an indigenous bloodline in them and are aware of the legends. Okay. Let me see here. Who else we got in there? I know I missed some people. I'm trying, guys. Hold on. This chat is flying by. Good Lord. Let's see. We have. Let me put Bounty's question up here. Do little orbs usually come first, almost playful, and then it comes after? Little orbs. If you're talking about the ones that I call wisps, what you're experiencing, I believe, would be more of a spirit than anything. Unis, good to see you. Who else we got in here? Let's see. Yeah. Well, Carl, I tell you to behave all the time, and you don't listen to me, and it's my friggin' show. So maybe you should listen to Bounty. Sorry, bud. I don't know. I thought this was a good subject to just talk about tonight because, guys, we don't talk about these things enough. And when you make the connection, especially this time of the year with Krampus, think about it. I mean, the connection to a demonic type of a legend, an urban legend, basically, that has the ability to steal children that are misbehaving, putting them in a basket and carrying them off. Okay, and basically keeping them prisoner. I mean, that is just, to me, that's evil. Okay, I definitely believe that there is a connection to the Goatman, the Sheep Squatch, and other trickster spirits like Krampus. Okay, through legends and through different cultures around the world, including the Jinn. Okay, including the possibly even the Naga. Okay, maybe, just maybe, there's that connection, including the possibility of Mothman being a trickster spirit. Okay, because it's seen around bridges and deals with a lot of tragedy. Okay, or maybe the Mothman is there in the area to keep the Goatman trickster spirit away from the area. There's definitely a connection there. Okay, now what it is remains to be seen. I can't say definitively because I am not the exact proof that everybody wants. But all I can tell you is from my own research, I believe that people are either, I think, like with the Mothman sightings, I believe that maybe the Goatman sightings are a misidentification too. Especially when you look at that one picture and you have reports of walking upright feline species walking around. And there were reports of those in Maryland and Northern Virginia too, by the way. From Culpeper, Virginia on up into Beltsville, Maryland, of felines walking around. Now, maybe, just maybe, they adorn themselves in some way after unaliving somebody's farm life, okay, farm animals. Or it is literally a trickster spirit. Whatever we are dealing with, at least in my opinion, 80% of the time, is definitely something supernatural. Yes, Scott, very good. The Kushtaka, yes, definitely a trickster spirit, otherwise known as Otterman. I am a firm believer in the Kushtaka, okay? He is definitely a trickster spirit and able to shapeshift. So, these beings, what we have to understand is these beings are ancient, okay? These beings precede humanity, okay? These spirits, some of our people call them elementals. Some of them are elementals because they're of the environment, okay? They're the energy drawn up from the environment. But I'm a firm believer that some of these are like possibly the leftover angry spirits or demonic activity from the fallen angels, or even the remnants of a lost race that disappeared, like say the Anasazi, who were evil to all the native people around them, which is kind of good why they disappeared. But where'd they go? Underground or up above? That's the thing. Reports of the Goatman stretch it coming out of nowhere 80% of the time. 80% of the time. That's a big chunk of time out of all the reports that we're dealing with. That means 20% of the time they just notice it like wandering through somebody's field or through a grassy knoll or through a wooded holler, like sheep squatch reports. Okay. So, but I'm a firm believer that I believe that these supernatural beings, these trickster spirits, are taking the form of creatures that have been here since the fallen. That's just the truth of it. I mean, you know, take it for what it's worth. That's just the connection I made. Hi, Auntie Aaron. Christopher says, I think that Baphomet is the principality over America because of the Pentagon. Well, that's, Christopher, that's great that you said that, because I want to point out something to everybody. Have you ever wondered or questioned why so many cryptid sightings and so much paranormal activity and so many UFO sightings and stuff, or lights in the skies or orbs or whatever supernatural, paranormal, cryptid encounters you can think of are so active in one area? Because of the veil being the thinnest. Now, here's the thing with America, okay, and the Pentagon, okay. What is the District of Columbia street layout design? It's a pentagram, okay. So take DC, connect it to the Bridgewater Triangle area, okay, and then all the way down into parts of Kentucky, okay, and you have a big triangle, okay. I think these areas like the Bridgewater Triangle, I think they could be connected to a bigger area. I mean, look at how big the Bermuda Triangle is and all the weirdness that happens there. I believe that that the reason DC has some of the symbolisms and a lot of the Egyptian stuff, which, by the way, the Washington Monument is connected to the Egyptian obelisk in New York City. Think about that. Find the other location of the corner and you got your triangle. It's always a triangle, guys. Okay. But I also believe that from DC to parts of Kentucky and up into New York is another gateway. And I believe that the founding fathers knew that this gateway existed here. Okay. And when they made this District of Columbia and they decided to make that the capital, they placed it right in the center of the gateway. Okay. So that means that most of the northeast coastline on the Atlantic Ocean side of the United States is a gateway. It's one of the east locations notated in the Book of Enoch. So we found a third gateway, guys. You got the North Pole one. You got the Utah into the Grand Canyon one. And now you got this one. We found three gateways, not portals. Portals can be opened and moved anywhere. Okay. Portals can be opened from an energy off the environment, frequency, vibration. Personal spiritual medicines can actually open portals. Okay. Technology can open portals, as we know with CERN. Okay. But gateways can't. Gateways don't move. Gateways stay there. And gateways, you can take an entire world and slide it through a gateway into another layer of that same parallel world. It's called crossing the veil. Okay. That's exactly what it's called. All right. So, that being said, guys, where does the faith of Christmas rely upon? Because it has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. Oh, they'll tell you that. The Roman Catholic Church will tell you that to a T, you know, and a lot of the Christian churches will tell you that to a T, but it has nothing to do with Christ. Christ wasn't born on December 25th. Okay? Plain and simple. But what was? Ask yourself that. What came and took over a world and has ruled a world for a very long time and ruled humanity for a very long time through manipulation and fear factors and practices, and continues to today, and has coerced or frightened a certain sect of humanity to work with it. That's the thing. There is regular human beings working with these beings. And right now they're shitting their pants because they know that I know, and I'm telling everybody that. I can feel it. I can hear it. I can't, I don't know how much plainer I can say it. They have ripped and torn the veil to shreds so much by trying to pull off their illusion and control humanity through their fears, and by tapping into the power of the demonic, or as we call in native culture, tricksters, or as the Middle East calls jinn, or as the India people call the Naga, okay? Some people call the Anunnaki, some people call them reptilian, some people call them demons. They are literally a trickster spirit born to seek the ruin of humanity. That's all they're doing. And Krampus is no better than Goatman or Sheep Squatch or some of the others. Take that into consideration, and also be aware that there is things out there that you're not going to find a way to solve. Okay? There are things out there that humanity is not meant to solve, that humanity is not meant to open up. Okay? Because it's in a higher being's hands. The more you seek the unknown, the more you pull the negative forces towards you. And I have said that from the beginning. Okay, I know from being part of that negativity and that darkness most of my life growing up. Compared to what I am now, I'm not even a resemblance of what I used to be. That's one thing you got to keep in mind when you're dealing with the supernatural. Because not everything is an alien, guys. I've said it a dozen times on here. Not everything is a flesh and blood cryptid. Not everything is an alien. You're dealing with forces here that are older than humanity itself. And until people realize that there is a definitive difference between the flesh and blood, which I've said a billion times, and the supernatural, if they don't discern the difference, they're going to keep running into roadblocks and never solve what's going on. There is a definitive difference between the flesh and blood and the supernatural. And it's up to you guys to solve it. It really is. It's not up to me anymore. You want to see why? Look at this. Do you see all this? This is all my notes over my walls. All over my walls. I've been researching this stuff for a very long time. From missing people, portals and gateways, cryptids, supernaturals, hell, even the shadow government, the cabal, water spirits, mermaids, Enlil and Enki, the bloodline of Lucifer, the bloodline of David, and in the center, Anu. The shadow government breakdown. I've studied it all. Hell, 90% of it I've experienced. So you can take it for what it's worth. I'm going to leave it at that with you guys and hope that this kind of opens up a way to people to actually perceive the Goatman and all these other trickster spirits working together. And like I said, time is going to label something different. What we call today a demon, back in the 1800s, we called a trickster spirit in culture. But now a lot of the native people that are Christian call it a demon. It's the same thing. It's a spirit, an evil entity that wants to seek the ruin of humanity. And they will use influences, fear, tricking you, which is where the trickster comes in, okay? And they make you believe something so strongly, even though it's wrong or a lie. I've even got on here Allah and Fur and Rakshasha, actual demons that are talked about. Rakshasha is correlated to the Wendigo, Bigfoot, and Dogman, and Goatman, okay? Allah, A-L-A, Bigfoot, Lizard Man, and Dogman, okay? Fur, Wendigo, Bigfoot, Dogman. There's correlations to demonic activity, to tricksters, to jinn, to whatever you call them, because they are all the same. They have one purpose, and that's to ruin humanity. So, that being said, I just wanted to put this out there. I know it's a hell of a subject for Christmas, but when you see a fog rolling in and you hear jingle bells, it might not be some fat guy coming down a chimney to take you and give you toys or to make you have all kinds of goodies in your stockings. It may be this thing, the trickster spirit. And he doesn't need to ride on a sleigh with 8 reindeer. He comes out of this, the fog. The same fog that's actually encompassing California, which ironically, what's the problem now they're having? Large amounts of rain. Trickster spirits, fog, and rain all coincide. The same with missing people. It's all connected. I have told everybody that from the beginning. Maybe now people will start thinking, my God, maybe he's on to something. Everybody, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Keep your loved ones close. I hope all your wishes come through. And continue to question everything, guys. As a favor to me, because I'm not going to be here for much longer. The way I've been feeling, I can tell you right now. It'll go on, but it's up to you guys. Hey, Dead Wolf, it's up to you guys to actually continue this, to question everything, because not everything is as the eyes perceive it. And a piece of advice too: don't answer things. If something whispers your name or shouts your name or whistles or claps or tree knocks, don't answer it. Because odds are it's what you call a mimic, what I call a trickster, what others call a demon. It's all related, guys. Every bit of it. So be careful. Enjoy your holiday season. I believe I have a podcast scheduled for 10:30 p.m. Friday night, January the 2nd. So you guys, everybody will have their hangovers and be able to have headaches together. And but above all, try to enjoy what time you got left. Things are going to change, and I'm not too sure they're going to change for the better. Stand strong in your faith and continue to question everything, because not everything is as you perceive it with your eyes. Okay? Thank you all for being here. Please, if you can, hit that like button. The cat horde is back, by the way. I just wanted to put that out there to everybody. We successfully captured 10 of them and had them spayed and neutered and rabies vaccines given. Their ears are cropped and they're back and rambunctious as ever. So the horde is back in town. For feral cats, they're actually pretty easy going, except for two of them. Two of them are kind of nasty. But I think that's the mom and dad. I really do. But if anybody wants to donate, I put on my Facebook page, the QR code. We go through about 2 20-pound bags of cat food every month. And that's just the dry. That's not including other canned foods and stuff and moist foods, because every now and then you got to rotate it with them because of their digestive system. Oh, thank you, JoJo. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, I put 2 videos of the cats on my Facebook, so you guys check that out. 2-minute video. I couldn't get all of them because they're probably, some of them are probably mad still because they had to get fixed, and had a needle put in their ass, which would make me mad. But yeah, it's just, they're cute. I mean, they're, for feral cats, they're actually adorable. So anyways, Merry Christmas, everybody. And I will see you on January 2nd at 10:30 p.m. on Into the Red Rabbit Hole. And the topic of discussion is going to be Men in Black. Now, what do you think the connection I'm going to make with that is going to be? Think about that. Okay. So again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, guys. God bless you, and stay safe. Eat lots of cake and candy and, peppermint candy and candy canes and, spaghetti noodles with maple syrup. Figure out what movie that's off of. And watch The Grinch Stole Christmas and Christmas Vacation is another good one. So, and we'll see everybody on the 2nd of January. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Through the mist we rise, a force unbroken, with banners high and hearts awoken. The sound of pipes, our war is calling. Like thunderous waves, our duty is falling. Stand tall, together we fight, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. With battle cries we forge our fate, in fields of valor we elevate. As shadows loom, our spirits gleam. Brothers in arms, we are the dream. Fearless, we take the night, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity, our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. As dawn breaks, we know our name.